This is a special bonus episode of the Uptime Wind Energy Podcast. Listeners to the podcast know we love to speak with the movers and shakers in the wind industry. And while attending the Wind Industry Hamburg exhibition, Joel and I sat down with a number of terrific guests. And now we are bringing them to you, our faithful listeners. First up is Chris Cieslak, director at BladeBug. And Chris brings us the latest news on the BladeBug inspection robot and how BladeBug is the perfect solution for detailed ultrasound inspections for blades. And then Greg Lorenz, Senior Product Manager at DroneBase, updates Joel and me on the latest in drone inspections and how to manage the massive amount of inspection data. This is a great episode, so stay tuned. I'm here with BladeBug director, Chris Cieslak.
Thank you very much.
From the UK. And you had brought over BladeBug. So I actually got to see the BladeBug robot for the first time in person, but I've only seen it on YouTube. But it is impressive. And you made some recent, I'll call them improvements, more like modifications to them. What's the new pieces to BladeBug at the moment?
Yeah, so we brought with us the new sort of proof of concept robot, which is essentially the same robot that we currently have for field trials and testing.
Yeah.
But we've been working with a Danish or Scandinavian industrial design company called Egg Designs, based in Norway and Denmark.
Okay.
And they've been working with us to understand things like user journeys and basically enable them to help us cover the robot in a casing to give it weather protection, environmental protection, but also ergonomic design. So it's got handles.
It has
integrated.
handles, yes.
Yeah, so you can carry it easy. It's for us. It shows what the product of BladeBug will look like, and it just means that people can join the dots of go, okay, this was the prototype. This is now what the product can look like, and it's been really fantastic to have the physical robot here and to show people such as yourselves what it is, because people have seen it for quite a while on YouTube, or they might have seen a photo of it, but I think people love to be able to physically see it and see the scale of it.
The scale of it, yeah. It is
the size of a house. No, it's not the size of a house. But
no, it is a decent size, though. I think when you put it in perspective of a blade, it makes a lot of sense that the size you have chosen, and it has evolved quite a bit from when I first saw it, and it's now, I think, into the hey, let's get it out there in the world and do some damage with it. The one thing I was noticing at your booth there is it has add-on capabilities and like a payload bay to do ultrasound measurements, and that is fascinating because there really isn't anybody in that space yet. You want to describe what you can do with the robot at the moment?
Yes, 100%. So BladeBug itself is a robotic platform. Yeah. So it's been designed to be really agnostic to what activities it performs on blade. So be it inspection tasks or repair tasks. And we've developed a few different options, but the one that we're really pushing and going 100% ahead with is this ultrasonic non-destructive testing of blades. It's a capability that I think over the course of these 4 days at the show in Hamburg, 90% of inquiries about NDT.
Yeah, everybody has blade damage, but they can't see it.
Exactly. So this is fantastic. You know, it shows that we're working in the right area.
Yeah.
And so we've got 2 systems that we're currently trialing and integrating into the system.
Right.
And it's about having a tool which solves people's problems. So we're not NDT experts. Right. We just enable people to perform these inspections remotely and safely. There's a limited number of RoPax technicians. There's even a smaller number of RoPax technicians who can do NDT inspections. So we can do the inspections, and then the experts who don't have to be RoPax trained can analyze the data and tell you what's going on with your blades.
Right. So in a sense, it has become somewhat about speed. A lot of the discussions we've had here on the floor are, well, how fast can you do X, or how many turbines can I do in a day? BladeBug's really set up for that, the way it's set up. So you have gross movements with a cable, so you can raise the robot up and down. But once you get on location, I'll call it, it maneuvers on its own. You want to describe like how it moves and what the technique is to grab yourself onto the blade?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. The robot is not designed to do global inspections or repairs or tasks and blades. It's about localized, detailed follow-on. So the example I use is always that you have these drone inspections. They're fantastic.
Oh, sure.
Inspect a rotor in 30 minutes.
Sure.
Identify you've got a defect here, here, and here. We can put the robot onto those locations quickly, and identify if it's a real problem, if it's a smear of grease, if it's a crack. If it's a crack, are there delamination subsurface that you can't see? And the way we do that currently is by essentially following the same process that working platforms or baskets are used. So a very simple rigging process, a tried and tested process, a process which the owners and operators have seen and trust and believe in. And all we're doing is picking up our 25 kilo robot on the same ropes and rigging. So it's a very good way of putting people's minds at ease that what we're doing is novel, but elements of it are very well proven and tested and verified.
Sure.
So we're able to, as you say, we're able to do gross movements of the robot by putting it up to a blade very quickly to an area of, well,
just
a target
unknown. Just unknown. They don't know.
And then once we're on the blade, as you say, the robot's free to do what it wants to do. So the robot can move up, down, left, right. It can crab. And the way that we've actually designed the robot is that the body itself is a 6 degree of freedom end effector. So we don't need any additional robotic arms to control tools. We mount the tools in the robot body, and then the robot body then controls how those tools are manipulated over the surface of the blade, which might be a bit kind of
it's
difficult or different to imagine how it's done, but it works really well, and it explains why we've gone down this road of this 6-legged walking robot, because of the flexibility and the adaptability of what it can do on the blade when it's there.
Yeah, and the stability, right? Because if you're doing ultrasound measurements, you need to be stable, right? And other platforms that we've seen tend to be a little more rope-based and are not position sensitive. When you're doing an NDT, you need to be position sensitive, and you need to lock yourself in place, which what BladeBug does. It locks yourself in place, and it's Well, I guess we'll just add some video to this and show the movement of BladeBug, how it can move left, right. We need to do that for LinkedIn and YouTube. But that gives you just really unique capabilities. And I'm guessing as the industry progresses, they're just knocking on your door more and more. It seems like the ultrasounds are becoming more commonplace. We've talked to a number of companies that do that, but they just are swamped with work, and they can't put a technician out there and do those tests quick enough. And it just becomes really cumbersome. So as an operator, what do I do? Do I spend 3 months doing NDT on all these blades, or is there another option? Is BladeBug finally that we open the door to where we can actually do NDT, which we haven't been able to do on a blade? And can it be done inside the blade too? Can you do outside and inside?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot more interest in now that we're saying that we can do the NDT. So just a caveat, we're not fully there yet. We're not a commercial product, but we are close to. And what we need is customers with problems that want to work collaboratively and help us actually make sure that product that we're developing solves their needs. Because as a company, we're a robotics company. We want to provide the best tool to the industry to solve everyone's problem. So we've got some good clients and relationships that we're working with. We've recently performed a trial in France. Off the back of that, they've invited us back for a long extended trial. So things are moving definitely in the right direction.
That's good.
Which is fantastic for us. And I think just on the whole of robotics in general, just walking around the show, I came here back in 2016. There was no robotics automation.
Oh, I'm sure very little,
And now there's a movement, and for me, it's fantastic. It's really showing the industry is moving in that direction.
It is.
For a long time, I'm sure, myself, Errones, Rope Robotics would have seen, that we're trying to break down barriers into an industry which doesn't have that mindset yet.
Well, yeah, sure.
And so we're all helping each other. It's a really nice thing to see. We've all been to each other's stands, and we've all had a chat, and it's great. We have all very different solutions, very different systems.
Oh yeah, they are different.
And fundamentally, there's a big market out there, and everyone's going to have a really interesting future.
Well, I think wind is very similar to aerospace, actually, in that there is this, and wisely so. I think operators have realized tends to be some fly-by-night companies, especially earlier on, a couple of years ago, there's a lot of them, and they were patient. Let's just see the technology develop. Let's just see who's staying here when it gets to 2022. And let's see what the technology is, and it has totally flipped. It was sort of what robots are interesting, but we don't think it's the future, to it is the future. We need to get on board. We need to start signing some contracts. We need to get some out and do some test runs like you've been doing, and just demonstrate the technology because it's beyond theoretical.
Yeah.
It's real. And as this market has grown, I think there's going to be just a lot of opportunity. One of the key pieces we've seen at this show is the amount of offshore versus onshore. Previously, it had been mostly onshore. With the offshore piece, how does BladeBug fit into that offshore piece where doing an NDT on a blade or anything on a blade is just a 10x factor in cost? Does BladeBug really break that dynamic a little bit?
Yeah, we started off offshore first.
Okay.
So our very first blade walk was on a 7 megawatt offshore turbine in Scotland.
There you go.
It's been designed with the challenges and the complexities of the offshore market, because that's where the biggest opportunities lie ahead, for sure.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a huge opportunity onshore, and for us, it's the best place to test and validate the system. The cost of logistics are way down. Yeah. But also the offshore market isn't ready for it yet. We're trying to really focus on the new installed turbines, the floating offshore wind in particular, I think is where we see the biggest benefit, because of the challenges that we're not even aware of, or that the sector's not even aware of maintaining their blades. Trying to maintain a moving structure on ropes, people get seasick very, very quickly, or motion sick within the nacelles of those turbines.
Sure.
People get thrown off the blades on the ropes.
Sure.
And of course, one of the key problems that you have or key risk areas is transferring crew from a CTV onto the turbine.
Right.
When they're both moving in different dynamic motions, that problem is even enhanced. So we're developing and conceptualizing BladeBug where you don't have to get any people onto that turbine at all.
Oh, wow.
So this is about really, this is not about job displacement. This is really about, there is a shortage of rope access techs. Yeah. Let's use them for the really big jobs that they're going to do. Right. And let BladeBug do a lot of the inspections and the maintenance. So this is about, really preventing early signs of damage becoming a big problem, requiring big campaigns. So for us, it's about, that is where we see a really big opportunity. But onshore over the next few years is really proving the capabilities and the viability of BladeBug. And then we need the offshore market to be aware of us, because they need to factor in how they're going to be scheduling their O&M tasks in the future. They can't use the same, we're always going to use rope access technicians.
Sure, we have to.
In 5-10 years' time, the landscape's going to be very, very different. And so they need to be aware of that, because it's going to drive costs down, it's going to have different efficiencies. Right. And they need to be aware that these technologies are coming up, and they need to be aware of it, but they also need to help us as well. This is, it's a two-way thing. We need assistance to prove the tech. We need to get on turbines, and we need people who own them, who operate them, who manufacture them, to be on board with what we're trying to do.
Yes, definitely so. Yeah. When I was at your booth today, I tried on some 3D goggles. Mm-hmm. And BladeBug has a couple of cameras in the front of it. Or is it just in the front of the robot where there's cameras, or there are more cameras?
We have 5 cameras.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
okay,
so
I only saw the ones in the front.
We have cameras that look forwards, backwards, at the legs. We have LiDAR, so we scan the blade as we're walking. We map the surface that we're walking on, which enables us to calculate how to place the feet. So there's lots of systems that you can't see from just visually looking at it. But there's lots of cameras on board. So again, it's been designed to be operated beyond the visual line of sight. So you have to have a number of cameras to make sure that the operator can maneuver it. Right. And then in the future, a lot of it will be automated, I'm sure, but there'll be a person in the loop bit on an onshore service center somewhere whilst the robot's hundreds of miles off the coast. Yeah. And people just keeping a loop, just making sure everything's working as it should. And
so you're going to have, the expert doesn't have to be on site. Much like x-rays today, when you have an x-ray taken, the person is reviewing it, could be in Israel, could be halfway around the world, could be in Australia, could be in the UK. You're just sitting in in my case, United States, and you think it's happening next door, and it's not. It's happening half a world away. So your BladeBug is set up to have the expert interact with the robot live.
100%. That's one of the key features. So I'll go back to the trial that I mentioned in France. We were performing some non-destructive testing ultrasonic scans of a blade in France, 80 meters from the ground, remotely. None of us are NDT experts. We had an NDT expert dial in remotely, interpolate or read the scan data, make the necessary corrections, and then say that this is good to go. And so this is exactly how we see that system working. You have these experts who are in short supply. Right. They can be remote, in their home, in their office, being fed all this high quality data, and then being able to tell the customers what their blades are doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because you're right. I think you answered two problems. One, getting ultrasonic testing done on the blade, but two, the limited number of technicians and ultrasonic inspection technologists, I'll call them. The people who interpret those signals are incredible. I've seen it for a number of years. I still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So that really cuts down the cycle time to figure out what's happening with your blades tremendously. That's a game changer. And what's next? I mean, those are some barriers I don't think we could break, honestly. So what's next? What's next for BladeBug? If you've done all this already, you remind me of going 1,000 miles an hour on where you can go with this. What's coming up?
Yeah, you're right. This is just the start. So I said BladeBug's a robotic platform.
Yeah.
The rest is exciting. So the inspection element, so we can use existing industry-proven tools in the robot.
Yeah.
We've only started to scratch the surface of what those tools are.
Right.
And then you add in the repair capability. So we're starting to look at repair.
Yeah.
The repair is going to take a bit longer just because it's a robotic process. There's not a standard that we can follow to say, this robot can now perform that leading edge repair, because they don't exist. So what we're trying to do, we're following the standards that humans have to follow now.
Right.
And we're trying to understand, okay, what is the landscape likely to look like? Because there will be legislation. There will be. Everything will catch up.
It's
so
coming.
we want to be involved in that and sort of help drive that forward, because it's really key to show that the benefits of robotics and automation mean that you get a higher level of, or higher quality and more repeatable process for your tasks.
Yeah.
And for us, that's key. We want to be driving that forward and showing the industry what the benefits of this robotic solution are, because we have to do it in baby steps.
Right.
This industry, whilst it's still relatively young, it's still fairly conservative. And so
cautious.
They're cautious. It's cautious, and rightly so. These are big, expensive assets, and you don't want to just put things on which then fail quickly. So we're trying to really, for us, evidence our repair capabilities sort of in the background. So when we're ready, and when the market's ready, and when certification's ready, we're there ready to go. But there's so many facets and areas that we can sort of navigate and pivot to. It's just really exciting. But for us, the NDT is the real key thing at the moment. It's a really hot topic. It's a really big problem. And for us, that enables us to really get BladeBug out there. We're pre-commercial at the moment. We're going to be changing that next year. But for us, it gives us the ability to, show the market, or show investors actually, that BladeBug is viable. For us, there's a lot of still development to do for us in terms of building manufacturing capabilities and everything else. So,
but those are natural.
Yeah.
Everybody has those.
Yes.
Right. It seems like you're clearly at an investment stage. The robot I saw today is at an investment stage, and it makes sense to start looking your way. There's a lot of renewable energy venture capital funds that are looking to invest in new technology. BladeBug is clearly one of those leaders at the moment. And next year, are you going to? Are you at another funding round? Are you close to another funding round?
Yeah, we are raising imminently. We're doing a pre-series A now.
Oh, good.
So we're raising. Yeah, we're raising now. The reason we're not doing a Series A is because, again, with that still pre-commercial stage, we want to wait until we get the contracts and really justify the raise that we're trying to do. But we've got a good bunch of investors at the moment that are keen to follow on, but we're looking to get new ones in as well.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about, for me, my role is definitely has changed from from the technical side of things, much more to the making sure that we've got the funds in order to really reach the potential that we have.
So how do people get a hold of you? If investors in Silicon Valley investors in renewable energy are in two places in the United States, mostly, maybe three.
Yeah.
Boston, Houston, and then sort of Silicon Valley. Those are the kind of the hot three in America. And they listen to this podcast because I really regularly interact with them. So if you're all listening out there,
please get in contact.
How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so probably LinkedIn is a good place to call.
Okay.
We've got a BladeBug page. I'm there as well. We also have our website, bladebug.co.uk. There's an investment email as well, so invest@bladebug.co.uk as well. So there are options, and I think if you do a search for BladeBug, you'll probably find me or Stacey, who's our business development manager. There will be ways. We're fairly easy to find, which is good.
That's great. Well, Chris, I appreciate you stopping by.
No,
It's great to see you in person, and
Yeah.
it's great to see BladeBug in
Thank
person.
you.
So it's fantastic.
Brilliant. Right.
All right, thanks. We have a special guest, Greg Lorenz from DroneBase. He's a senior product manager at DroneBase. And we're still here in Hamburg, beautiful Hamburg, Germany, where it's about 45, 50 degrees outside Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's just started raining too. It's been decent all week, but now it's turning into Hamburg. Yeah, turning into what's
Back
normal
to
here.
its,
Yeah,
to its roots.
showing us
right?
its real colors.
So we're here to learn a lot about DroneBase. Now, at this expo, we must have walked around 20 different kinds of drone scenarios.
There's a ton.
There's a ton of them. And a lot of them are relatively new. And in my opinion, don't have the assets to do large projects.
Exactly. Yep.
DroneBase is not one of those. You guys are positioned in many different markets at the same time, and you've been around for quite a number of years. So you want to just describe just generally what DroneBase does, and particularly what's happening in wind?
Yeah, so obviously, we have 5 different verticals, and we have, we talked about that a bit. But digging into wind specifically, we're a flexible platform. We're able to be basically intelligent imagery, right?
Yep.
We have drones as like one arrow in our quiver. We are flexible to do other things. And also I think the key thing for us is operational excellence. You're, I believe, talking about, our technicians are trained. We're able to train on a large scale, where our hardware solution is flexible, so it's easy to get into certain countries. So, for example, Brazil, having custom hardware is challenging. Importing to Brazil is challenging.
Sure.
Our hardware platforms are readily available, easily implemented, and we can scale super quick. And we have a very, very large pilot network. And I think that really helps us expand quickly and meet our customers' needs. Our customers are a lot of global OEMs, operators, and I think us able to scale quickly and our operational excellence is one key differentiator. I think a key part, and from what I saw in my time in GE, a lot of these companies want their data in their systems, right?
That's right.
We think we have an excellent platform, super easy to use and helpful, but our customers in the end need to get their data to their
The way they want it. Yeah.
Exactly, the way they want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have some customers who are using our platform to manipulate the data, add defects, because it's easier to use than their existing platforms. You have these large companies; it's hard for them to digitally innovate. We're able to take that data, send it into their system. So they work in our system. It goes and gets stored in their system.
Okay, sure.
And all the records are stored. It's following their processes. And I think that's a really critical part, partnering with our customers and enabling them to keep their workflows similar, but improve the workflows.
Question for you. I'm going to dial back just a little bit. You said getting equipment into Brazil. So a past life of mine, I worked in oil and gas offshore. And we always said, if you're sending something to Brazil, probably not going to get it back.
Yeah.
So you just plan on it. So I guess what the next question to that is DroneBase, of course, a large global organization. I know you guys have quite a few of your management team and whatnot in the U.S., but what markets are you guys actually working in?
Yeah, so we're working for wind specifically, or obviously North America. We're entering Brazil.
Okay.
We're doing inspections, I believe, this week or next week in Brazil.
Fantastic.
We have Europe. A lot of the European countries are pretty covered. The Nordics as well. That's usually a challenging environment to operate in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we're obviously there, and then Northern England as well, Faroe Islands. We've done some inspections up there. We've done inspections in Africa. We've done inspections in South Africa specifically. Australia, Taiwan. So we're completely global. We've hit every single major continent.
Wherever there's wind market, you guys are there.
We're there. Yeah, we have teams based out of India, Germany, the U.S., Brazil. Obviously, we just started a new office there, and those are our key major hubs. So we do have a team here in Germany supporting, and we're flexible.
Wow.
We're all over the world. We're all in all different time zones.
So speaking specifically to wind, of course, this is what you're the product manager for.
Yep.
Onshore and offshore.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, offshore is a tough environment for drone companies. We've seen some of them. We use the term baptize their drones. So I hope DroneBase hasn't had to baptize a drone yet. But it happens.
Yeah, and I think offshore is a really challenging environment and really minimizing cost to the customer. And I think DroneBase, we have drone in our name, but we're really thinking about intelligent imagery and thinking about we talked about Mark was talking about solar previously with you and how they've changed the game. We're really thinking beyond just drones. How can we meet our customers' needs best? How
Right.
can we, keep the power running, still get high quality inspections? And that's what we're looking at. We're looking to try to innovate and expand. And when you're talking about offshore, if you can, have some capture system when it's you don't have to get off the boat, things like that, it could be a huge game changer. So I think, that's where we're taking. We're taking that. I think a lot of companies will say, "Hey, drones are the best, and we need to use drones." And
Sure.
we use that as an arrow in our quiver. But we really want to be open to all technologies, all different options.
So whatever can collect inspection data, high quality metadata. But if it's a robot, a crawler, a cage drone, the drone system that you guys have does autonomous flights, or something we don't know about yet. We don't.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? It could be something like the BladeBug. That crawls up and you need to look at something real close. We don't know what it is, but you guys are set up to be able to take in that data, and as a part of the company, you're looking at innovative ways. Because I think you have a little bit of kind of an R&D group that is looking at all kinds of different. What about this? What about that? What about this?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's we're continuously discussing, innovating, trying to get feedback from all the teams, and we're based all regionally, and seeing who's doing what and how can we be better, how can we deliver that data to our customers quicker, cheaper, faster.
Yeah.
So
I know I was talking with some of your team today over at their booth, and they were talking about how you guys are agile. And you touched on this a little bit about making sure that the customer gets what they want. Right? You're not locking them into a system. You're not locking them into, this is the way we do inspections. This is how you're going to get your data. It's how can we work together with you guys? We have some horsepower. We've got a great system. We have this. Do you want it? If you don't want it, no. Do you want to inspect? Do you want us to inspect for you? How do you want to do these things? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have a wide range of options, right? You can do, where we do everything for you. We do the capture, we do the data analysis, and give it back to you, and it's basically hands off from the customer perspective. Or you can do, self capture, so where the customer is actually collecting their own data using our drones, using our autonomous flight system. So we try to be flexible, and then they have an option if they want to do the analysis, they can, or they can do it themselves if they have a large engineering team doing that work.
Okay.
Or someone like your company, they want Wind Power Labs to do it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's fine if you have an existing relationship.
Right on.
Do it with you too.
So if you were to say, DroneBase, this is our value add. If you stood in a room with all the other drone companies out there or inspection companies out there, what is the value add that sets you guys apart in the market?
So I think a key thing that we touched on already was operational excellence. And I think being flexible and listening to the customer need is the next part. Making sure that we are listening continuously and continuously updating and innovating our product to meet the customer's needs. And then making sure when we're out in the field, we're professional, we're getting it done safely and quickly, and getting them the highest quality data. On top of that, we do data review basically immediately. When they're still in the field, they're uploading the images that night. We have an image uploader, super easy to use, just drag and drop. It goes in there. The pilot reviews the images, making sure that the images are all good quality and easy to see. That really helps us. I think just overall, we minimize reflights, but in case that has to happen, we're there. We don't have to remobilize. We're there, and we can react and make sure we're collecting.
There's nothing more frustrating than that is getting an inspection campaign done, demobilizing, and then finding out you got to go back.
Yep. Yeah,
or the client telling you got to come back. Because I've seen that happen before, and it's not cool. Okay, so we've got some of your value add. What are you guys looking for the future? What's the difference? I mean, we talked about more tools in the toolbox. We don't know what those are yet.
Yep.
But the future for DroneBase and Wind is what? Global takeover?
That's what we're shooting for sure. Global takeover. I think the one key thing actually looking in the industry is getting buy-in from customers, right?
Yeah.
If you look at proactive blade inspection, the market penetration is relatively low. So I think that the key thing overall, we can talk about takeover and who's getting what share. I think the key thing is getting the industry to be proactive versus reactive, right? And, my time at GE spent a lot of time working to improve that, becoming more preventative maintenance and being proactive, doing inspections versus waiting for bad stuff to happen. Putting people at risk. So I think actually if you're looking at it that's the key thing is getting our customers on board and how can we help them
Let's say in the Wind Power Lab team we call it being a prudent operator. How can we share the knowledge to be a prudent operator to the market and encourage them to do that? And it goes by showing ROI. How does this happen? Why, if you don't do this, what could happen? If you do this, this is how it will work.
Exactly.
That's that's where we're at.
Yeah, but and I think we're looking, we see the solar team, what they're doing, and that innovation. We're looking for that game-changing innovation. I think if you look at wind, it's slightly more challenging with obviously the airspace requirements and things like that. Yeah. Flying over with an airplane over the solar panels is definitely less challenging technically.
Yeah.
But we are always looking for that game-changing innovation, that next step change. And how do we get? I mean, drones was a huge step change. What's the next step change, right? Is that is that within drones, or is that something else? And I think we're looking at all possible options.
Yeah, I know we were chatting a little bit ago, and of course we're at Onshore Energy here, Onshore Offshore, biggest wind energy show in the world.
Sure.
There's a lot of constant monitoring systems out there, right? You've seen a lot of them for generators and rotating equipment and these things, and now you're starting to see them get into blades. I'm staring right behind us here. Our friends on the show ping their monitor here. Integrating those kind of data sources to maybe drive a hybrid inspection model where you have something that is a base filter, and hey, we need to go inspect these because we're at this stage, rather than just the blanket. We've got 4,000 turbines. We need to go inspect them all, kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That kind of like predictive maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's where that's we have CMS monitoring gearboxes, bearings, things like that, and that's where Blade's going to go. It's just it's really like challenging.
It's tough to get the
buy-in. It's challenging to
change the mindset,
right? And it's really key trying to get it at the when it's built, right? Yeah. So when we're trying to do retrofits, it's so much more expensive. It's so much harder to show the ROI and the positive ROI. But if you can get it installed early on, that's I think a key part in getting that buy-in. It's so tough, right? A lot of the times, asset owners, OEMs, they're coming to us because they have a specific problem or they're having problems with something in their fleet. And so it's like at that point in time, it's almost slightly too late, especially for continuous monitoring systems. Right.
Yeah.
You can if it is a big enough problem, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking to educate. Yeah. That's the idea.
And from the technology perspective, it just seems like imaging cameras is where the action is now.
Yeah, they keep getting better.
They get crazy better, right?
You guys have that phase 1 camera over on your booth here.
Yeah,
it's 100 megapixels or something.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's insane, right?
Yeah.
So is that the real driver now? It used to be the drones and controlling the drones and all the piloting and things that were happening, and that seems to be solved.
The autonomous nature of
mostly.
everything.
And I'm not saying it's completely solved. It's not.
But it's in the market. You can go pay for it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that where technology is? It's really in the cameras, or we haven't reached a plateau there where you don't really need better cameras. We're just kind of there, and now it's just basically delivering of quality information to the operators.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a slight balance too. Like with the flight path, you can adjust the flight paths to get better quality images with lower quality cameras. So there is that kind of like balance there on how much you want as far as a camera or how you want to adjust. But yeah, those are kind of small little tweaks. I think the one thing I've seen a couple items around here, but not a lot, is internal inspection. And I know we went doing it, but internal inspection is really interesting. When we do an external inspection, it's 50%. It's probably less than 50% of what you're seeing is internally. You can see there's no paint. You can see into the laminate. Right. You actually see more internally.
Cracks,
so that's kind of the one part that they're. I didn't see a whole lot of like new robotic innovations as far as the internal inspections go.
No, that's true. Very true.
But you are seeing in that market space, you're seeing the asset owners are actually in the last even 18 months. You're starting to see more like, we need to do some internal inspections.
Right.
Because you're starting to see a lot, as blades get longer and bigger and we trim them down, they're not so bulky, they're a little bit more, sports car blades. They develop cracks easier, more the structural problems in the inside of them. Exactly. And so even here at the show, we've had some people stop by where we are at our booth, talk to some other asset owners. Internal inspections is becoming paramount on the radar now.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see, where that comes. It might change there, but I know on the Wind Power Lab side, we've been doing it for a few years, and we get some good results to the clients. And for the most part, it's surprising to them. You deliver the inspection day, and they're like, "Whoa!" You're like shear web cracks, and you got this going on and that going on. We do a lot of RCAs as well, right? So a lot of the RCAs are like, they would have had an internal campaign done. They would have found this before the blade folded over.
Yeah, I wonder. That's a good question, because do the primary inspections become internal instead of external?
No, I think it's a mix. I think it's like a multifaceted approach.
Yeah,
with internals, you have to go up tower. It's expensive.
True.
slower.
Maybe you don't. Maybe in the future there's
Maybe
a way that
they
there's
come
a
in
way
with a
they come
drone,
some other way.
outside,
fly up the
right,
top.
go over the
Right.
access panel. Yeah.
So
Really?
I think that is kind of. I think it's got to be a mix.
Okay.
There's other stuff out there, thermal too.
Right,
So
thermal's a
it's
big
really
discussion.
building that and really understanding your blades and your fleet. And
Right.
how you do that is building data, right? So you need multiple years of inspection data to do that, and then you can start manipulating, adjusting inspection frequencies. Or if you're using predictive maintenance and like ping, then you're able to, hey, I'm just going to go and do the inspection whenever I get a flag. Right?
Yep.
So I think that's, I think it's a multifaceted approach. It's not a one size fits all, and it's certain blade types have certain particular issues which you do need to do internal, so you can't see it externally.
Right.
So it's always I think the key thing is collecting as much data as you can, and then becoming intelligent yourself.
Yes.
Using the analytics to find out what you need to be looking for certain blade types.
Well, do operators come to you and they say, hey, I have X turbines, but we're thinking about buying Y turbines? So they come to you and say, all right, what's the history on these Y turbines out here? Are they just full of blade issues based, and not even specifically, but just saying, are they generically in a sort of a rating sense? Is this a good wind turbine, or does it have a lot of problems? Has that process started yet?
So I believe we're not able to really share that because we are using our customers' data.
Okay.
So if we were to say, hey, we collected for asset owner X and we're telling asset owner Y or OEM X or Y and telling that information, I think that would be like a breach of contract. But
People
Maybe.
might not be
Maybe.
happy.
Maybe
it
not.
could be challenging. I mean, I think you know
We do some advisory on that side of things.
Okay.
Offshore could be huge that
Yeah,
way. I think offshore, there seems to be, from the operator side, a huge amount of risk because, especially in the United States, they don't have any experience in offshore wind, and they don't know, with a lot of new turbines, what's happening.
Yeah.
And the only people who do are people taking pictures.
Right.
And DroneBase is one of those. It just seems like a logical extension.
That's good, and that kind of gets into what Mark was talking about with solar and being transparent.
Very similar
there
things.
may be some, I haven't.
Just a rating system.
Yeah, I've been with DroneBase for 3 months, so I haven't heard that ask come to me specifically, but it could have come to someone else.
It seems like a logical outcome at some point.
Yeah, most definitely, and that makes sense. And I think like in the industry, we know what blades are
you do.
Those
right?
blades must not be named.
At conference like this,
exactly.
there's a lot of drinking and talking about
There's
problems.
some winks and some smiles going on.
Exactly. Yes, I
Some
think
frowns.
there is general knowledge, but bringing the analytics and the hard factual data and how that creates your inspection plan and your frequency. Yeah, that is definitely something that needs to happen more often.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and especially as our global wind fleet starts to scale.
Yep.
I mean, we're looking at PTC stuff going on in the U.S. right now. The developers are going wild, and it's going to just continue to. The energy transition is going to continue. Right now, we're at 72,000 and change in the U.S. That within 3 or 4 years, that number is we're going to hit 6 digits.
Oh yeah, we'll be 100,000 shortly.
It's just going to keep going, and it's not just the U.S. It's South America, it's Europe, offshore, onshore,
Brazil.
You're just not going to be able to inspect every one of these blades all the time. So it's going to have to be exactly like you say, a hybrid model of let's monitor them, let's inspect them when we need to, let's do these things because it's just not going to be the manpower, the resources to get it done.
Right, and I think the one thing kind of touching on that a little bit with internals, we have technicians going up tower doing preventative maintenance all the time.
Sure.
Being able to build a system that's super easy to deploy internally, you could just deploy it easily and it goes and does the inspection while you're greasing the bearings or something like that.
Right.
You're not really waiting. You're not using up any time. You're already there.
You're there.
Right. So
I saw someone one time take I don't know if any of you guys are fishermen. But in ice fishing, they have these cameras that have they look like a little fish. You drop them down the hole.
Yeah.
So I saw someone putting blades vertically and just dropping one of those down in there.
absolutely.
Maybe that's it.
I mean, that's one method.
The drop cam.
Definitely one method.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Greg, hey, it's great. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Joel and I learn a lot from these conversations, and I know DroneBase is super busy. I just stopped by your booth earlier today, and it was insane over there. So I know it's having a pretty good show. So congratulations, and thanks for being on Uptime.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to both of you.